What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Coaster Nostra back at you guys with another sneaker review, unboxing, and of course that on feet, guys. New silhouette for everybody. Let's jump right into it. Alright guys, new silhouette, and what does that mean? It also means new box, unless of course you are Russell Westbrook and you just get hit with the same box year after year after year. Kind of a cool look to this box. You got pretty much an all blood red box, and for the most part all the graphics, all the designs on the box are just going to be made out of sort of diagonal black lines. On the top of the box we got Kyrie Irving's logo. It says Nike basketball, and then some rectangles all around the, of course, all-seeing eye, which Kyrie will just not let us forget about. We've got some pretty cool symbols going on. I kind of wonder if some of this symbology is going to kind of pan out as we get some of these colorways dropped in the future. But you've got this kind of emanating circle logo. You've got the all-seeing eye logo that has really been prominent from jump with these Kyries. You've got a grid pattern, another kind of weird circular pattern, and then a triangular pattern over here at the end. I'll try to do a little bit more research on those guys and let you know what some of those might be referencing and referring to on the next review. Opposite the sizing tag, you've got another box made out of sort of diagonal lines, and then it says in a circle, "Just Do It, Kyrie Low 3, Nike basketball." In a size 11, the Kyrie Low 3, the colorway on this is atomic pink / blue stone, and the suggested retail is $110 US, guys. Let's pull this pair out and check out what we've got in store for us today. Alright guys, there they are in hand, the Nike Kyrie Low 3. The colorway on this bad boy has been dubbed Harmony, and these are wild. One of, if not my favorite Kyrie Low to date. Honestly, if we're really getting into it, there's really not too many that would compete with this bad boy. This thing is unique and definitely gonna turn some heads. Definitely got some pretty cool blends of color on this particular colorway. Now, first and foremost, guys, before we talk too much about the colorway, let's talk about the new silhouette itself. This is the second drop from the Kyrie Low 3 silhouette. However, it follows very, very close behind the Eclipse colorway, which, guys, I'm bringing you a little bit of a late review on those because I picked those up as well. However, I wanted to bang this review out just because I had them both in hand about the same time. This shoe's slightly newer, but I think this shoe is going to get a little bit more interest, and people are going to be asking about this shoe a little bit more. Now, the first really glaring thing about this shoe, if you've seen the 2s in hand, if you've worn the 2s, the first thing you'll really notice is that there are massive similarities to the 2 in this shoe. So much so that honestly, guys, the tooling on this shoe is basically identical, okay? You've got the same outsole, the same sort of individual kind of nub materials on the outsole that sort of give it the really good traction that it does. The shape of the midsole is the same, the materials are the same. Once again, they've made the use of rectangular zoom bubbles in this shoe for the cushioning. The midsole itself is made out of Phylon, so there's some give there. However, on the front half of the shoe, there's a little hit of sort of that TPU type plastic material right there, which is really going to be the main thing that's going to be biting into the feet on the wide foot gang. So far on these colorways, it's sort of blended into the Phylon midsole because of the color choices that they've gone with. But guys, keep in mind, that's what that's made out of. So that's one of the elements that really lends this to being kind of a narrow shoe, which the Kyrie line has really been synonymous with from jump. I think it's kind of weird what they did with this shoe in terms of the fact that this could almost be sort of like what Paul George's line has done with kind of like the 1.5s and the 2.5s. This could almost be like a Kyrie Low 2.5, especially because they didn't release a ton of colorways of the Kyrie Low 2s. But guys, the main difference between that shoe and this shoe is going to, of course, be the strap, which once again makes its return to the Kyrie Lows. It was a prominent feature on the first iteration of the Lows. It has been on and off on the main Kyrie line, starting with the 2s and then making a reappearance in sort of a weird way with the fly trap on the 5s, and then of course being very prominent on the 6s. But gone from the 2s is going to be the sort of caging system that we saw on the 2. As a matter of fact, I have one of the 2s right here, so we can sort of compare and contrast the 2. You can see how on the 2s they've got this sort of weird kind of plasticky material with the Nike swoosh kind of built in to that material material right there. That plastic material lends itself to the lacing system, so they've completely done away with that in favor of the actual strap itself. I imagine it probably makes the shoe a little bit lighter just because those plastic hits probably give the twos a little bit of weight. And one thing that's definitely prominently noticeable about the threes is that this strap, while it's eerily similar to not only the shape and really positioning of the Kyrie 6 strap, it is much more lightweight. They've sort of stripped it back in places. There's a lot of places where you can actually see through places of the strap, really on all of the strap other than underneath the actual Velcro portion of the strap itself. So guys, that's going to be the main glaring difference. They did choose to go with a little bit of a different lace material, which I think was a good idea because that traditional lace material, it really gets chewed up pretty bad by any kind of Velcro, which this strap, the angling of the strap, the shortness of the strap, it's definitely going to make contact with those laces over time. And this sort of weird kind of rope lace, it's a little bit more durable and it doesn't lend itself to kind of getting grabbed up by that Velcro as easily. So kudos to Nike for sort of thinking about the consumer and the shoe long term there. I think that was a good idea. Because of that, they moved the swooshes on the shoe back more towards the lower ankle collar portion of the shoe. That actual hit of the shoe is leather. So again, another difference between the threes and the twos. You've got some hits of leather, which of course makes it the shoe a little bit more luxurious, depending on who you ask. The other main difference on that actual toe box area, they went with a different, a little bit more durable textile material on that toe box. It looks kind of weird in my opinion on that Eclipse colorway because of how they went with sort of the grid black and white pattern, which I have right here too, guys. So stay tuned for the review on those. That material looks sort of weird in my opinion right there. The color blocking that they did right there. However, on this colorway, on the Harmony colorway, where they kind of hit it with a different kind of paint splash, kind of galaxy vibes, I think that material lends itself pretty well to the toe box and the coloring on the shoe right there. The outsole of the shoe, which we talked about a little bit, identical again to the twos. So once again, you got the return of all these sort of individual nubs. It almost feels like there's 1,000 nubs on these things. They sort of emanate in various places in kind of like a radial pattern, whether it's the back heel portion of the shoe or the two that kind of make up the forefront portion of the shoe. In the very middle of that outsole, you'll see the Kyrie logo right there. But one thing I will say about those nubs, while they do give you good traction, they do kind of bite in and feel good on court, underfoot, they're not the most durable for outdoor play because of the individual nature of the actual nubs on the shoe. So guys, you can run the potential of kind of ripping through those on outdoor courts, on cement, on streets, on things like that. But guys, the grip overall, it's definitely there, nothing to complain about. These things definitely dig in on court. Now, other than that, guys, we do have some minor differences with the actual silhouette itself. If you look at certain things like the shape of the tongue, the actual upper portion of the tongue is a little bit more prominent. On the twos, it's a little bit thinner. Things like that you wouldn't notice unless you had both shoes in hand and you were literally comparing them side by side, as I was actually kind of doing. Another difference on the actual toe box, on the inner portion of the toe box where you sort of have this sort of little hit of plastic, kind of like a mud guard, or maybe a little hit of material to sort of continue to give that toe box structure and to keep it really from folding over on itself and really creasing badly. It's a lot more stripped down. They went with what sort of amounts to just like a smiley face on that inner portion of the shoe, whereas then on the twos, it's a lot more prominent. It actually looks a little bit more like some cartoon lips, I guess would be kind of the easiest way to describe it. On the threes, it's a lot more streamlined. So I don't know if they were getting complaints from people and how that material kind of felt on the top of their big toes over time, or if they just felt like some of that material was unnecessary. In terms of cushioning, guys, we've got Zoom Air bags under both the forefront of the shoe and the back heel portion of the shoe. I believe that was the case with the twos. However, I think I might have read that the twos just had it in the midfoot portion and it was just the one bag itself. So maybe a little bit of a difference there. Colorway wise, guys, as we touched on, these things, in my opinion, these things really go hard. I love this colorway. I think it really smacks. There's definitely some real uniqueness to the colorway. A lot of hits of color on the shoe, most notably on the actual toe box portion of the shoe, where, as we talked about a little bit earlier in the review, you've got kind of like the hits of paint splatter. It almost kind of has like a galaxy vibe, especially the darker kind of purple and pink kind of hits to it. But you do have some lighter hits of kind of like orange. If you look close, there's some really small spots of yellow. There is even here and there little small splashes of blue. Another really cool notable feature about these things, underneath the two little lace straps that begin the lacing system and kind of decorating all of the stitching that attaches the lower portion of the tongue to the actual toe box area of the shoe. They kind of went with this sort of iridescent hit on top. Definitely noticeable, definitely a nice little detail in hand and up close. Another little thing that just accents this colorway and just makes this colorway something really special, really memorable. And then guys, on that back half portion of the shoe, where we have that really cool squiggly line Nike swoosh, which we're seeing Nike kind of use here lately. Sort of a new design, but I like it, guys. It definitely has kind of like a squiggly sort of lightning bolt look to it. It's stitched on there, so that's cool. And it's right atop the hits of leather, both on the lateral and medial portion of the shoe. The paneling right there is going to be pink, and then on top of it, you got all this kind of bluish gray, kind of gloss designs, which really kind of give off like an astrology vibe. There's a lot of symbols, whether they be moons or triangles or arrows pointing here and there or stars themselves. I think that they really smacked that back half of the shoe out the ballpark, guys. Really good job right there. Another little difference, I think it's something that they added just to be a little bit different, but also maybe perhaps to protect that top lace a little bit from the Velcro strap when these things are not strapped. But there's a little hit of leather stitched on that kind of covers those top lace holes of the shoe, so where that lace pops out and where you would generally tie the shoe if you were taking these things to court, it's going to be protected by a little leather flap that's stitched on there really thickly. They use that thick stitch right there really as a design piece in my opinion, but another cool little difference between these and the twos. On the back booty of the shoe, you again have sort of another astrology symbol right there where you've got a sun with a moon inside it, or perhaps again part of like a little bit of an eclipse, another little nod to the first colorway that dropped from these. And then all around it you've got kind of like little beams emanating from that little sun, and then little stars or whatever. There's 8 of those. It's very symmetrical. I don't know a whole ton about astrology, guys, so forgive me for that, but I'm almost willing to bet that symbol means something and has some pretty significant meaning when it comes to things like astrology and ideas in astrology and stuff like that, because that's just really Kyrie's MO, guys. He's really into that heady, weird stuff. All in all, guys, I love this colorway. Kind of weird that they've basically released almost the same shoe with just some different things to the shoe. I mean, the upper of the shoe is identical except for the materials, which, guys, is something that we're kind of used to with these releases anyway. If they release 15 shoes, 15 colorways, there's usually different materials here and there on the shoes. So, guys, a little bit of a head-scratching release in terms of the silhouette itself. I like the twos personally. One pair of the twos, they're still in great shape for me, but they're one of my go-to shoes in terms of if I'm like just running out to the grocery store or something like that. Maybe it's because they're really accessible. They're kind of in a drop front box in the hallway, so it's really easy for me to grab them. But guys, they're just an easy shoe to slip on feet. They're pretty secure on feet. It's a dark colorway, so they're pretty forgiving in terms of when you wear them and stuff like that. But it's just an all-around pretty easy, accessible, everyday shoe, which I think these are too. However, maybe a little bit less so because of some of the things on that upper, like the strap and whatnot. But guys, like I said before, this might be my favorite Kyrie low to date. Let's check these things out on feet. What do y'all think, fam? Do you think this is a weird release in terms of the silhouette and what they did with the silhouette? Are you feeling it? Do you think maybe they just got the twos so right that they just decided to tweak a few things as they did and come up with something a little bit better, guys? Let me know downstairs. Let's get that discussion going, guys. Thank you for rocking with me and my reviews. Comment, like, subscribe. Y'all know what to do. Throw me any questions down there and I will hit y'all back. Much love, fam. Peace.